All About the Archers. I'm Philippa.
I'm Quentin.
And we are here to talk to you all about what's happened so far this week. We'll be including episodes from Sunday, the 29th of December, right through to tonight, Thursday, the 2nd of January. There will be spoilers. You have been warned. Quentin, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Philippa.
Thank you.
Just as long as 2025 is not 2025 food references you intend to make in the next 12 months.
Just today, there's quite a few.
Well,
but I'll save that one for later.
This week there'll be about 2,000.
Yes. What do you think of the week so far? What do you think about tonight's episode?
It was quite full of surprises, actually. I mean, my heart sunk when I heard that Lee was turning up because he's never been my favourite Lee. But then we heard he's off to San Francisco, so all's well, isn't it? But actually, to be fair, it was quite nice hearing him again. I was surprised that I felt quite nostalgic for him, and he's been treated abominably by Helen, hasn't he? So, yeah, in a way, I was quite pleased to hear from him. I was surprised. He's a nice chap, isn't he? He's just a bit irritating, but he's a nice chap.
I just felt so sorry for Henry. I mean, that finally he's got someone he looks up to and gets on with, Lee.
Yeah. And
now Lee's off as well, and Henry's left with Helen. I mean, that poor child.
But the big news was, what's going on? The undercurrents of joy in Rochelle. She has warned Rex off because Rochelle is much more vulnerable than she seems. Now, that is a can of worms. And so many theories just pinging around at the moment as to what is behind Rochelle. I mean, has she been inside, or have the children been taken away by social services? Why doesn't Joy want her to wear a miniskirt, a sequin miniskirt? Is she a bit of a goer, or has she been led astray by bad men before? But she seemed to be implying, "Look, Rex, you're a good man, but I don't want to see you get hurt." Was the subtext, I thought.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot, and some views are that she's been in prison. I think that story's done with George.
Yeah.
The alcohol story's been done, the drugs, the sort of teacher-student. So I'm just wondering, we've heard Rochelle talk about her father and how awful he was and eventually packed his bags and left.
Yes.
But I just wonder, what if he abused Rochelle?
Right.
And Rochelle understandably didn't deal well with that and sort of spiralled and unable to cope and vulnerable from that. And that explains the distance, because she might blame Joy partly for that. Not that I'm saying Joy was in any way involved, but when it's another parent, there might be some blame that Rochelle labels on. There's a reason why Rochelle has stayed away for so long and has returned back and is a very sort of restrained, inward person.
Yeah, but Joy's pushing and pushing and pushing. This evasiveness is doing my head in. She keeps asking reasonable questions of Rochelle, and she just goes, "They were all fine. They're with Benny, and blah." It's clear.
So what do you think then?
Well, they're meant to be in Florida, is that right?
Yeah, it's on holiday, yeah.
I'm not sure I even believe that. Who is Benny?
Her partner.
I know,
yes.
But we know nothing about Benny. Why has Benny got parent custody of the kids?
Because, she's spiralled, but what is the cause of that spiral?
I agree with you. And the very fact that she just turns up on Christmas Day, it's very odd. The whole thing is really odd. Someone very rightly pointed out in the Facebook group, how did she arrive there on Christmas Day if there were no buses or trains?
Very, very clever point that I overlooked last week.
Did Rex give her a lift?
Rex's car sounds very grand. How can he live on a riverboat and have this car that sounds like it's a Tesla or something, by the way that car was moving?
Well, yeah. We also, talking of these errant fathers, Rex's father, Robin, is not well. I haven't heard reference to this before, but
I'm sure we have.
Really?
Yes, that wasn't a surprise to me. He's not been well for a while.
Okay, right.
As far as I'm aware, but I'm very happy to be corrected.
That was news to me. Well, I mean, there's been a lot in the last 5 days, and I don't really know where to start because we've had the whole succession issue at
Yes.
Bridge
Okay, well,
Farm.
let's deal with that first then. The lovely chat
Awkward.
with Helen being so
Awkward.
accommodating and understanding with her parents.
I don't want to turf you out, but I do want to turf you out, Mum and Dad. Yeah. In her defence, because she's short of defence on the whole, Helen, Pat did ask her what her plans were. But Helen, no filter, straight out, well, we'd like to move in here. No consideration of what Tom and Natasha were there to want to do. But she did just double check tonight, didn't she, that we're okay, aren't we? Even though her parents are shell-shocked.
Yes, when she said about Tom, he's buying Beechwood, that's where he wants to be. That doesn't have to be a permanent move. That's what you were thinking of doing before you decided you didn't want it. And there's no mention of Johnny. Has Johnny just been wiped off the face of the earth now? I mean,
well, where is he on Earth? He's sailing
still
somewhere.
at sea, yes, but surely he's an important part of the future of the farm.
Yeah. And this eco house idea, somebody pointed out quite rightly, why don't they just get one of these kit houses from Germany, you know? And I think Pat says she's not going to be written off at 72, but she makes a valid point also that we haven't got the energy or the time to start building eco houses.
Yeah, but they're not having to build it themselves. They're not having to get mud and slap it on themselves while milking cows and looking after goats.
Tony's talking. He's like, he wants to build it. Well, come on, Tony, just go to Germany and get a pre-made one.
And it's lovely that they focus on the next generations, but we're talking 5-10 years at least until Jack will be.
But you see, I think Henry's promotional ideas have triggered something in Tony. He declared at the end tonight, the next generation of farmers has arrived. I think the penny is dropping that the succession issue has to be sorted. And there we have on the wings Henry with all his brilliant ideas.
And
children's
all his
loyalty
problems. Poor Henry, he is, if anybody is going to have some vulnerable times, it's going to be Henry. He's had too much to deal with Rob and now Lee going and, as I say, stuck with Helen. Or Helen, as she's called.
Yeah, but I think, as I've always said, I think Henry's one of the grown-ups in the Archers anyway. He's remarkably sensible for such a young man.
Yeah.
So I have more faith in Henry. I think he actually essentially is a solid chap. So, dreadful mother, but a nice lad.
My question for you, Quentin. What would you choose to do on New Year's Eve? Go to Rex's houseboat party or rescue a sow and back to Neil and Susan's for games?
Well, I think the rescuing of the sow, as Hannah said, livened up their evening. And I think they had quite a good time. And the booze flowed afterwards with Neil and Susan. And a parlour game is always great fun. Narrowboat you're stuck on a very narrow vessel, aren't you? There's no escape from people. It's probably going to be freezing cold, and you've got Rochelle flirting with Rex. I'm going Neil and Susan.
Yes, I agree.
And Sal. But having said that, I think I really want to point out, I really enjoyed last night's episode, written beautifully by Sarah McDonald-Hughes, acted marvellously, I thought, by Brian Hewlett, who plays Neil. And I thought, it was a bit random in going off talking about his parenthood, but it was interesting. Yeah, it brought up by foster parents, left on a baker's doorstep, 9 children's homes by the time he was 5. But despite all that, says, I can't believe how lucky I have been in my life. And I thought that exchange with him and Hannah was lovely. It was proper drama. I think the older he gets, Brian Hewlett is becoming a superb, he was anyway, but he's got an even better radio actor. He's such a compelling, natural actor. You feel he's just talking to you and he's talking to Hannah. So I really enjoyed that episode yesterday. Did you?
I did. I thought, it really struck me of the love that Neil has and what family means to him. And at the beginning of the week as well, Neil and Susan, they were there for Emma, even though she didn't want to be there with them and didn't want to celebrate with them. There's that connection and that love that echoed through Neil's story, and I found that very moving.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though I was getting quite cross with Emma and her desolation, I understand why she feels like that, but it's not helpful to anybody.
Emma's whining is really beginning to get on my what's it.
The phrase that made me smile that I thought you were going to absolutely love was the phrase, distract me with beavers.
I was going to get onto beavers. Release the beavers.
That was a flop for me. Was it a fave for you?
It was a fantastic line. I chortled to myself. I knew you'd be blushing, and I knew you put it down as a flop. Excellent writing. Love that. Yes. But this whole idea that let's just get a bunch of beavers and release them into the wild is nonsensical. Where do you find a beaver, for goodness sake? Where do you find a beaver?
Amazon. They have them, I'm sure. But how can you release them in the wild? It will go so horribly wrong. That's why all these legislation pieces are in place to cover this.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
Absolutely bonkers. But Kirsty is like, yeah, let's do it. Equally, that line, did she say it this week? Must have done. I love you, but I love you as a friend. I mean, that is teeing up. Come on, Rex and Kirsty. That's one of my predictions. Long-term predictions for 2025. It will be Rex and Kirsty. Will Kirsty find love? I mean, they love each other, really. Come on.
Rex, I just feel like he's got really bad breath.
It's radio. How do you know?
I just can sense it. Not the actor in any way, the character. I just would like to say.
Is this metaphorical or actual physical?
I just feel Rex has really bad, needs medical attention. But there we go. You mentioned the word
what?
How he plays I don't know. He's just one of those.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
halitosis men, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
You mentioned the word love, Q, and what you love most is, of course, food. And there has been a plethora. Let me whiz through this as quickly as possible. Beef Wellington, turkey, halibut, rack of lamb with mint crust, veggie option, mushroom and chestnut, pigs in blanket, Christmas pudding, tiramisu, bread sauce, cranberry sauce, sprouts with almonds, shakshuka, sachetort, Eccles cake, sausage rolls, Christmas cake, chorizo, vanilla and chocolate ice cream, Madeira cake, chili, beef and ale stew. And Quentin, for the purposes of our lovely listeners, is holding up a sign saying #bar hamburger. Very good. I like it there. Cute. It's safe to emerge. You're fine.
There were 2025 references there, weren't there?
Star of the week. Who is your star of the week?
Neil.
I was going to put Neil because of his love for his family and his contentment with life. But actually, as of tonight, it's Henry. He has to put up with so much and he's so resilient. And I just want to make sure he's okay.
Okay.
I'll go to Comic Con with him. Right. Your predictions. You've given us one. Are there any more?
Can I just mention Linda's magnificent sniff on Sunday? When she snubbed the Felpersham Arts Centre Panto trip. She didn't say anything, she just sniffed. I mean, the deployment of a sniff has never been more finely done, I thought. So, outstanding sniff.
Bravo on the sniffometer.
Yes. Right, sorry, what else? What did you want?
Predictions. Please.
Well, I would like to mention, let's go to the predictions that were flagged up on Twitter by the wonderful Miranda, as submitted by Dull Thud at dullthud.bsky.social. In fact, Miranda flagged them up on Blue Sky. And he has gone through the entire year with his predictions. I won't go through all three of them, but 3 months were the three that caught my eye were September. Susan and Clary seize the means of production. This erupts into a popular uprising and Borsetshire declares its independence from the UK. Followed in October by Generalissimo Natasha Archer launches a lightning counter-coup and installs reluctant Tom as Free Borsetshire's head of foreign relations. But December's going to be a cracker. Jazza wins the Euro Millions. Jolene is Christmas #1. Justin launches a hostile takeover of Ian's pizza van. Kirsty unilaterally rewilds Bridge Farm. Helen is struck by lightning. You'll be pleased with that. And the last 5 years of scripts turned out to have taken place entirely in Joy's imagination. So, excellent predictions there from dullthud.bsky.social.
Very good. Well, I've got two. The first one I was reading today about the increase of drones sending drugs into prison. We've talked about it in other episodes, but I'm just coming back to that again. That I think George is going to pressurise Brad to get that drone to fly drugs into prison, and that's going to create all sorts of issues. My other prediction is that I think something's going to happen with Leonard's house. Maybe boiler explodes or something, and he's going to end up living at Brookfield permanently, and I can't wait to hear David's reaction to that.
Yes, we need to say that I think, as I said, long-term Kirsty and Rex. Short-term, I think Rochelle will rock Rex's narrow boat, and it won't be plain sailing, despite what Joy wants.
And his bad breath.
And just to check, how much does it cost to have beavers for 5 years? What was the figure?
£200,000.
Congratulations. Isn't that a lot of money for a beaver?
It really is.
Release the beaver, Philippa.
Well, and on that note, next week I will be back on Tuesday. We'll be going back to the normal Tuesday episode. I should just say I'm sorry that we've recorded this on Thursday, not Friday, this special week of New Year. I have a pantomime rehearsal tomorrow.
It would have meant even more work. I mean, I've done 5 episodes this week. I expect to be paid even more, Philip.
Yes, in biscuits and care.
Yes.
Yes, so we will go back to the usual Tuesday episodes. I'll be back with Lauren on Tuesday. We've got a book club event happening late January, early February. We're looking at The Archers Unseen by Julie Beckett. There'll be questions going on the Facebook group at the end of January for that. And we've got a Patreon live event at 7:30 on the 14th of March 2025. Links in the show notes below. So until all of that, it's a goodbye from me.
And we have some more cast interviews coming up, don't we? But more later.
More next week.
Oh, it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye. Happy New Year.
Goodbye, everyone. Happy New Year.